Fish tanks and marble floors, living big and bad. Niggas laugh until they hit with my official jab. Crack smoke is the exhaust from my pen and pad. Ghost writers, they get the floss, what you could have had. Record label taking a loss.
So before this video starts, I want to just let everyone know that I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't have no paid signals. I don't have no course to sell you. I'm going to teach you all for free because, yeah, why not? You know, life's about giving. And, you know, I used to believe that charging people for education was the right thing to do just because I had to pay for it myself. You know, but now I'm in a position where I could change a lot of people's lives. So yeah, that's what I want to be doing. My goal this year is to try and help as many people as possible for nothing. And yeah, let's see where we're at the end of the year. So listen, stay tuned, and yeah. So I'm going to be selling gold again to add to our original positions. So you can see there. Wait, let me turn this around. So we've got our original positions up here. I'm adding some more now. We're going to be holding this down to 4680, and yeah, I'm going to update you all, but then I'm going to do a full market breakdown of why I'm selling gold. So yeah, I'm going to be updating everyone on the gold trade shortly. I do believe them lower prices are coming. So positions on the move, floating around 4.5k up right now. And yeah, we're just gonna leave it. There's no reason to close, no reason to do any dumb shit. Price is on its move, price is going the way we want. Yeah, there is a possibility that it could switch, but that is why we manage risk. So, you know, as long as you're managing your risk and you're not over risking, then who cares what happens, you know? That's the sort of mindset that you wanna, you know, adapt into, because, you know, it realistically doesn't matter what price does. You know, you just genuinely have to do what you're supposed to do over a longer period of time, and then eventually that generates, you know, money for yourself. So yeah, update on our positions. We are about to go grab a coffee. There's our remaining position that's there. And yeah. Yes, people, so this is going to be my market breakdown on how I made 10k today selling gold and how you can do it too. So first of all, what I want to show you all before I go into it is a lot of people are asking me, where do I get a trading account from? So you can use whatever broker you want. This is the one I'm using. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video, so you can go down, create an account through here, use whatever broker you want. I'm not asked, you know. But let's get straight into it. So the whole concept of what I'm using is highs and lows, right? So when we're in an uptrend, we're buying, right? So it's going to be higher highs and higher lows. Let me just label this. So you have a high, you have a low. You then have a higher high, because this high is higher than the previous one. And then you also have a higher low, because this low is higher than the last low. So let me just write something. When you want to buy, always buy on a higher low, right? And same going down. So we have a low, we have a high, we have lower low, because this low is lower than the previous one, and then we also have a lower high, because this high is lower than the last one. So when you're buying, right, when you think the market is going to go up, you're gonna buy. Now, where do you buy? You're not gonna buy on a higher high, because the market is gonna most likely retrace to create a higher low. You always wanna be buying on higher lows. You always wanna be buying on a higher low. Now, same again for the opposite way. When selling, you always want to sell on a lower high. I'm not even going to bother sorting that spelling out. You all heard what I said. So you never want to sell on a lower low, because it's going to retrace to create the lower high, which is here. So always keep this in mind. When you're buying, always buy on the higher low, and then when you're selling, always sell on the lower high. I'm not going to go too much into this, but this is the whole concept of what I'm using, and I'm trying to simplify it as much as possible so you don't overcomplicate it in your own heads. And if I don't say it, I'm probably not even using it. So don't ask me something I've not mentioned. Bro, I get so many fucking questions, and it's like, you're asking me things that someone else uses. Like, take the things that I'm telling you and run with it. Right, so now let's adapt this into the real market. So we've got low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, and we were buying here, right? And then look, price starts to fade out. We bought here last week, took some profits, and then price gapped down and then broke this last low. You see? Can you see how it broke? This last low here. These lows, look, this was the last point of where the buyers kicked in. This was the higher low. So what you're seeing here is this. Price is pulled up and then broke. It's broke this last higher low, which is here. You see this? Please, I hope you are all seeing this. This is a higher low here. So with this being the higher low, I know buyers are in here the last point. So if it breaks this, we're most likely going to make a lower high and then continue lower, which it did exactly here, and this is what I was waiting for. So we had the higher high, we broke, we had the high, we broke, created a lower low, which is here, and then it pulls back, which is done here. You see this? And we're waiting for this lower high to form. Now once this lower high formed, I just started selling because I know the lower low is coming. Now it's like, you're never gonna know when the lower low is here, or the higher low, or the lower highs, whatever. You just have to track price and take or remove your positions at the most, logical point. So we're always, if we're selling, we're going for buyers, and if we're buying, we're going for sellers. So the next point of buyers was this level, anywhere around this zone. I was comfortable taking profits, but I didn't. And the reason why I didn't, because I know, to be honest, I think gold's going to absolutely sink. I honestly think gold's coming down to 4,300 due to the daily. So yeah, but anyway, where was I? So we had the higher high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and then look, this is where my next positions came from. I know once we create this lower low, we're going to pull back, most likely, and I say most likely because this is trading, this is why we're managing our risk, because this isn't guaranteed, by the way, this is over a longer period of time. Yeah, it's going to work, but sometimes you are going to get fucked over. This is the reason why I don't want you all risking, putting £1,000 in and risking the whole £1,000 in one trade, because you just, what happens if you lose it? You're going to be upset. You're going to say this shit is a scam. So don't do that. We risk small percentages of that capital, and when I say small percentages, I mean the same percentage over and over again, and then you compound in the account over a longer period of time. So creates the lower low, comes back, creates the lower high. Once the lower high got created, I knew for a fact we are going to try and create that lower low. At least come down to these levels. At least, which it has done. You've seen everything that I was showing you all in the videos. This is what it's doing now, and yeah, I am still holding some of my positions because I do believe gold's gone. And the reason why gold's gone is, one, price action. Price action doesn't lie, look, we broke on the daily. This is probably even on the higher time frames, right? So this is, each one of these candlesticks are a day, so this is a lot of time. We broke here, pulled back, but lower low, lower high, lower low. So ideally, I think this is what's going to happen for gold. Lower low, lower high, lower low. I personally think gold's going to be really starting to come down. And another thing that backs my opinion with this is everyone is buying gold. It's way overbought. I've got friends who's a mortgage advisor who's telling me that he's buying gold, and that's not a good sign. It's like when gold hit that all-time high, I think it was last year, or it kept hitting all-time highs, right? But one time it hit an all-time high, or the first time in a while, and people were lining up outside jewelers to buy gold. Like, how thick can you be, And then it dropped massively and everyone lost like half the money. And then that's when everyone panic sells, the institutions buy again, and then everyone's pissed off. It's like a constant game of pissing people off. This thing is all rigged, but as long as you work in higher highs and higher lows, this is how the market works, So, yeah. So this was our first positions here. We sold down, it pulls back up, we sold again, and now it's made that new low. So once it's made this new low, I've got stop loss to entry, so I can't lose any money on this. I've already closed like 9 grand, and I'm gonna be continuing to hold the rest until another lower high presents itself. So higher high, lower low, because it breaks this last low. So that's our first sign of the trend becoming bearish. But we don't want to just sell here, because we need that lower high to confirm to go ahead and then possibly create the lower low, and then it's pulled back, created a lower high, and then again most likely it's going to create a lower low. So I sold again, and yeah, that is literally what I'm doing. There's no trickiness behind it. Again, I am using some of the news events. So this is Trader DNA, that is my software, this, and I have a 24/7 news scanner inside it, which is going to keep me updated on news events. So for example, if Trump speaks, which you can see here, Tuesday, that happened a few days ago. Perfect example today. So we have unemployment claims at 1:30. So at 1:30 today, we're going to have some news. It's going to bring a little bit of volatility to the market, which we're now aware of because we know this, right? And then we've also got a market news scanner. So the issues that we've been having with the US and Iran war, right? So this is how I stay updated on it, through Trader DNA. So, and also Trader DNA is not just a news website. It's a journal, it's a tracker, and yeah, I mean, you can use this for anything. It's gonna help you track your trades, win rate, losing days. It's gonna help you if your psychology's bad. We've got an AI coach which is integrated. Now this is optional, by the way. This has just helped me. I used a similar platform for years, and then I just decided to create my own because it's something that I've really been interested in for a while, and I never really wanted to sell signals or a mentorship or a course on a large scale. But with software that's genuinely going to help people, it's perfect. So yeah, back to the charts. So yeah, now that we've created this new low, this could again continue, and we're just waiting for that lower low to form, to pull back up, to create a lower high. Now, it could slam, I'm personally thinking if we come below these levels, then I think it's free game. This shit is going to sink. Like, it really is going to sink, and we're just going to catch the whole thing down. So yeah, right now there's going to be no more positions until we create that lower high. Now you can use all time frames. The higher time frame you go, and what I mean by this, that each one of these candles, right? This is a candle, this is a candle. I know some people are very beginners in here, so I am going to go over this right now. This is a candle, this is a candle, and up here is just how long each candle is. So I'm on the 1 hour chart. This is 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour. If I go to the 4 hour, this is 4 hours, 4 hours, 4 hours. And I'm sure daily, one day, one day, one day. It's really self-explanatory. So yeah, the higher time frame you go, the more accurate this stuff is going to be. Because if you go down to the 5 minute, we are trending upwards here, but then we just slam out of nowhere, and that's because the higher time frames, are showing us the bigger picture. So the 4, the 1, the daily, and the weekly are going to be your best friend, and the 30, the 15, and the 5 are there to just kind of exaggerate your entries. Sometimes these time frames can lie to you, so don't always fall for them. So yeah, this is how I sold gold, and I made 10k in a day. It's very it's very simple, guys. I hope people understand what I'm doing, and if you don't, throw in some questions. I'm probably not going to get around to everyone's questions, but I do see them. So if I see a question that's been asked multiple times, I'm going to bring it into these videos and explain it, you know. But this is your concept. Use this concept. Don't use anything else. You don't need no fair value gaps. You don't need no order blocks. You don't need all of this bullshit that everyone teaches online. You just need a market structure and a little bit of patience and not being greedy, you know. Trading is simple, but you know what isn't simple? Waiting for these things to happen. People are greedy, people are impatient, people FOMO. So yeah, this is going to be my video on how I sold gold. So yeah, peace.